questions today?
A couple.
In what ways have you seen your team progress since you last faced the Bucks?
I think consistency from a lot of guys. Defensively, we rounded into who we are, I think more so. But across the board, more consistent players and situations we've been in now. So won some close games, lost some close games, had the blowout, so we kind of run the gamut as far as that. And I think just our group growing in general, the young guys, really catching up to speed with the veterans.
Something that I was asking our guys earlier during shoot around was like exactly what you just said, the young guys and how much they're changing the NBA. In what ways have you as a head coach had to maybe adjust your strategies or just your mindset with the younger players and how different they play?
Yeah, I mean, everybody learns at a different pace, and for our guys, we've seen that firsthand. You know, we have 3 starters that are in their second and third year in the league, and you mix in Fred and Dylan. And so with our group, it's been, you know, getting everybody up to speed, and not everybody learns at the same pace and learns the same way. And so for us, for me specifically with the younger team, a lot of parallels with the Boston team as well. You know, they were a few years older, but same habits that need to be broken, same schemes and technique that we're trying to teach that they need to learn. So it just takes a little bit longer with our guys, and you want to have patience and understanding, but at the same time, not skip any steps with those guys.
How valuable? Oh, go ahead, Jonathan.
You spoke a good deal back in October, November about Dylan setting a tone of physicality and his mentality. With him out, besides the things he does somebody also need to sort of set that example or be that kind of leader for the areas that he was?
I would say we have some guys that naturally do it. Nobody's gonna exactly do what he does and bring what he brings on a nightly basis. But you know, Jay Sean is in the same mold. Tari's in the same mold as far as being disruptive defenders. And then you know, Fred is one of the toughest guys in the league, albeit in a different way. And so you know, to you guys' point about our young guys growing and learning from them, I think Jabari's gotten tougher, Alperen's gotten tougher across the board, and so like to trickle down on everybody, and nobody's going to replace Dylan or what he does at that elite level, but everybody does a little bit of that, and guys have learned from him for sure.
How valuable is it for your guys to learn to win in different ways?
Yeah, it's been big. I think you know, the games that have felt the best and meant the most at times have been some of those ones we came back from behind or squeaked out you know, close victories on the road. And so you know, we had a stretch of blowouts where we really defended at a high level, and you know, those are great for rest and getting young guys reps and minutes, but to actually, you know, like I said, it was more satisfying to get some of the comeback wins against New Orleans or whatever the case may be. And yeah, it's important for us, and you want to be in end-of-game situations and realistic situations, and you have to overcome some adversity. And as much as you love the blowouts, you learn a lot more from those situations.
With all the turnovers in the first halves of the last couple games, are you seeing a common cause with those?
Carelessness at times, not following game plan, understanding who we're playing and how they defend. And so a lot of times just give reminders, show some things at halftime, make some adjustments, and we've come out better, especially in a few third quarters. And so you know, you'd like to avoid it being a half or a quarter of sloppy play, but you know, that's been more so the case than anything, just carelessness and either letting teams stick around or giving them leads due to those. And so I want to come out more consistent from the start and have to avoid getting into halftime and learning and watching and kind of going over what we did at shoot around or in the film sessions.
Is there anything different since yesterday with Dylan and Tari, and are you expecting them to be on the road trip?
No, nothing new as far as their availability. Yeah, they'll be on the road trip, and one is day to day, one is like more week to week, and so yeah, they'll get the treatment and kind of ramp up as it goes. But I think it's just a matter of, you know, especially for Dylan with the trickiness of the oblique and when he can.
I'm assuming Dylan's the week to week.
Yeah. And so that's the one that we obviously know the timetable for. Atari's has just had to deal with some things that have come and gone, and his thing has been incidents where he's gotten hit or banged up or kind of bent up and they flare up. And so as much as we know more about Dylan, Tari is just a pain tolerance thing.
Hey, Coach John, what do you remember about your first conversation that you had with Alperen Sengun? And as we get closer to the halfway mark, how has he kind of like exceeded those expectations since?
The first conversation was really, you know, he wants to be coached, and Coach Tari said, in his words, coach European style, and he acted like he got coached over there when he barely played with a top tier team for his first 3 years or whatever. So that was his words, and I met his father yesterday for the first time, and they love me because I coach him like he raised them, and so that's what I'm gonna do. That's who I am, I think, in general. But that was the first conversation with him, was he wants to be pushed to be great, and like I said, he's grown. He jumped, took a big jump immediately in training camp. It was the first week of kind of being taught and being coached a certain way, and he's taken a huge jump from there and progressed throughout the whole season. So love what he's doing, but he's a guy that you have to stay on and not let slippage and bad habits creep back in.
A couple of weeks ago, you spoke about needing to see consistency from all your players, specifically your young guys like Cam. Have you seen enough from Cam to where even when Eason and Dylan Brooks come back, that he might still get meaningful minutes off the bench?
I would say we've seen growth for sure. And like I said, I think the time spent away playing at Rio Grande really did those guys well for their conditioning, for their timing, and just knocking rust off and getting acclimated to the pro game. But it is a log jam there, and so when you talk about Cam or Amen or whoever it may be, you got Tari back, you got Jay Sean, you got Dylan, you got Jabari. It's a lot of guys at one position now. A lot of guys are deserving, and like I mentioned, Aaron had got reps because of Amen being out. So sometimes it's a numbers crunch as far as positionally, and we'll see if guys continue to play at the right level, and it just increases our depth and experience and versatility with different lineups. But that's a good problem to have if it gets to that.
You've talked about, after losses, about you've been bullied sometimes, you haven't been physical enough. When you evaluate this group moving forward, how important is that going to be to have guys who can be physical at this level?
That's a huge part of it. I think competitiveness and effort was what I talked about and preached from day one, and for the most part, we grasped that, and that's who the group was. So I wasn't much worried. I wasn't too worried about that early on. Yesterday it was kind of the outlier. It felt like a game that we kind of got bullied around and didn't fight back to the extent that we have all year. And so, yeah, it's a huge part of it. It just starts with that. If you don't have that on a nightly basis, you don't really give yourself a chance, regardless of making missing shots, scheme, coverage, whatever the case may be. You have to kind of start with that. And I've loved that about our team from day one. And so look at more of yesterday as a one-off and expect to bounce back tonight.
Aside from that physicality competitiveness from Brooks, what is your defense miss the most when he's not out?
A true lockdown, one of the best in the league from a wing standpoint. That's versatility to guard 1 through 4. We can put them on anybody, and so certain guys on our team defend certain positions well, but Dylan can kind of run the board of everything. And so that's what makes him one of the best wing defenders in the league from a size standpoint, physicality, chasing smaller guys around, banging with bigger guys, and so where someone might get overwhelmed or not have the foot speed, he does a little bit of everything, and so he checks all the boxes and covers a lot of bases and allows others to guard certain players.
Dave had 39 and 11 the first time you guys played. I'm curious, how is the challenge of covering him different this year now that he's in a new place, a new environment, with new teammates?
I would say, there's more threats around him that you have to worry about, obviously. You got Antetokounmpo there. Middleton's rounded into form better, and then you got Lopez, Portis, other guys, and just more depth and weapons that he has around him as opposed to in Portland over those years. And so you could go after him more there, and you got guys that can make you pay. And so the game doesn't really change what he does. The way he stretches the floor and attacking the basket, all that. But it's just the weapons around him, harder to go after him for sure.
Your defensive transition has been so good. Defensive transition. I'm just curious, is there anyone who has taken the reins, maybe controlling that area of it to lend to such success this year?
I wouldn't say one guy. The guy on the floor that's really the coach on the floor is Fred. He holds guys accountable. He's yelling at them, so I don't have to as much. But I would say it's a full team effort. Something we stressed last year, and all the areas where we really struggled. Being 27th or worse, and we've taken big jumps in other than fouling. And we are aggressive defense, physical defense. That's going to foul sometimes, but that was one of the main things. Obviously, turnovers, and Fred is a huge part of that. So our good offense and getting shots and not turning the ball over has really helped our transition defense.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks.